In the last video, I built this nice platform for all my scrap, and now it's time to actually organize the scrap onto it. So the scrap's mostly going to be there. I'd like to keep this as a walking path, somewhat. I was going to fill that in with bricks, but then it occurred to me, I have a pile of bricks I can use, but I'd rather use the bricks to pave that area. So that'll be something later. But for now, let's take this stuff and find a way to put it on here. Most of that stuff, though, I'll go through it, and a lot of this stuff can go into scrap. My neighbor still hasn't come to get his scrap, but whatever. I have all this cardboard and stuff kind of built up, because it keeps raining. It keeps getting it all wet. I keep meaning to burn it, but then as soon as I start to burn it, a storm comes in. So I'm just going to eventually burn all this stuff, including that brush over there, and like all those skids will also be burned also. So on the shed we have this rubber roofing on the top, and I would like to keep this stuff on the back, because there's no window here. And if I cut this off, rainwater is just going to go into the shed. It's a pretty shitty shed. Actually, this shed was designed to be with the garage that used to be over there, and the garage fell down, so this is like half of a shed. It's horrible, but it's still a shed and it's still holding up, so I'll just leave it like it is. This other piece, however, I figure I can leave this piece on top and keep it at this height, because this height is good enough. I might tuck it in a little bit, but this other one, I'm going to start cutting this up. I didn't think there was water in there. Whoa! Holy fuck! It's still draining fucking water. Looks like maybe there's some mosquitoes actually living off that water. I'm glad I got rid of it. I think those propane tanks would look kind of cool sitting on here, because we can have stuff on here. These aren't really meant to be walking on. This is just meant for other stuff, you know? So I have a lot of long stuff, and it'd be really nice if I could just stack them all up in here. But then it occurred to me, what if I sunk this in the ground? Because this is just sand after all. I can just move these over just a tiny bit, and then I can dig out on this. I think that's the best idea I've had all week. I'm really happy with it. And the sand at the bottom really gives a nice place to stick stuff into if you want it to stand upright like that. I forgot I had this whole TV antenna tower here. Ooh, and chunks of aluminium. Nice. But yeah, that tower is all the way that long. But then there's, I think, 2 segments that can still go out further. Or, no, only one. But still, that's pretty far. I'm pretty happy with the progress today. It's gone quite well. I have a substantial amount of junk that'll be going to the scrap pile. So I think we're going to spend the rest of the day just moving that so I don't have like too much of a mess strewn across the extra lot. Oh, and I think I'll go ahead and move this inside. Yeah, I really let this out too long. This is actually a power line from the St. Joe Mineral Company lead mine. This was from about 1905 or something like that, or around then. The mine was built in 1909, and all the power lines were built around then, I think. It was in an area that had burned down a lot. I fear that me living it outside even longer has allowed it to degrade a lot, but it's what, like 100 years old. I don't think the 10 years I've had it would really be too big of a deal, but I thought it was pretty cool. Kind of neat. I also happened to find the chain guard to, I think, my Honda 3-wheeler, so that'll be pretty handy. I was thinking there'd be at least a few people that still mess with scrap metal for like extra money, but I couldn't find anybody that would want this stuff. I spent a couple days on it. I sent like messages to friends that used to scrap and they don't do it anymore, and there's a Facebook like buy sell trade for this entire like county, and nobody really cared to have some free scrap, so it's like, you know what, fuck it. I guess have prices like plummeted in a scrap metal or something like that? I don't know. But it used to be that everybody was scrapping stuff. Well, I'm just going to start tossing the stuff in the trash that I can't salvage. And by salvage, I mean melt down for my own purposes or use the actual structural material. I'm not going to waste time going to the scrapyard just to get like 30 bucks. And it's finally stopped raining for a little bit, so everything's nice and dry. I think I can go ahead and start burning stuff. It's pretty windy today. But I think I can use that big tub from the dryer as like a housing for the fire. This might be working a tad too well. That's the amount of heat coming off it. Oh my god. I might keep this piece around. The thing's pretty cool. So this isn't burning so crazily like it was before. I'm gonna keep adding some stuff on there every so often and focus on this. I had no idea this rubber mat was here. That's pretty cool. I'll probably rake that stuff up and put it long ways. Me and my mom loaded up all the crap and tried to bring it to the recycling center, but they didn't want to have anything to do with that. Evidently, they only want cans and paper and stuff. They don't want actually like big chunks of metal, which is kind of stupid. But on the way back, it occurred to us, why don't we just try to drop it at my neighbor's that he said he wanted it? So we did that, and he was like, "Oh wow, man, okay, cool. Sorry, I forgot about that." It's like it's fine, it's fine. You're like perpetually high. It's to be expected. But do you want this junk? And he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take it." It's like, okay. So we dumped the junk off and came back home. The junk is gone. Check that out. So I did manage to get a couple pipes and stuff left from that. I kept a few pieces of aluminium so I can melt those down. The wind today is far less windy as it was yesterday, and so I can finally get around to burning things. So I think I'm going to, I don't know, I might start out with that just to make a nice fire, because that tank is actually turning out to be really nice. It's not, I mean, usually when I would make something like that, I would get a 55-gallon oil drum. But as you can see, a 55-gallon oil drum is a lot narrower, and so I usually had an issue of it getting clogged too much. But it seems like the shorter, rounder bit from this clothes dryer is actually kind of okay. But yeah, that wind was just killing me the other day. So I'm probably going to fill this up, light it up, let it burn, remove it, and then start dragging the big stuff over. So I figure I'll probably spend my evening out here. I got some food from a gas station. My mom's been kind of sick and she was really helpful today, so I just bought all of us dinner. So I got some broccoli cheddar soup, some meat sticks, and some soda. So yeah, this will be my evening. Sounds like a pretty nice evening to me. There we go. So I think now I can probably remove that big tank and put some wood on there. That's a nice fire. So I think I'm going to get a bunch of leaves and put it up in here to help kill some of the grass. And then when I just sweep it away later on, and it's nice and clean. So that'll work its way around to this part. I just remembered I have all this shit over here I need to get rid of. So it'll be a good time to burn all that too. Whoa, that's a bit big. So that burned over once, I pushed all the ash back into there, and now we're going to let it burn over again with the rest of these leaves. The yard's looking really nice. I think I'll probably move these big logs under there and finally burn them. But before we do that, I think I want to get this main fire working again a little bit more vigorously. Maybe add a few more skids to it. Oh wow, those things are red hot. Especially the bar. Fire's all died down, mostly. There's still some puffs of smoke coming out, and it still smells like a fire, so it's probably still good enough to be able to revive it without having to relight it. Not really sure. And I've been sweeping up the bricks. It's going really nicely. The fire did a good job of getting rid of all of these weeds and stuff. This area can finally be gone through, and I can get rid of that today, too. It's smoking a good deal, so now let's see if we can revive it. Yes. Nice. That fire has been out almost all night, but it's not actually out. Be mindful of smoldering fires, because they can come back to bite you. But I will say, it's nice though, because if you have a fire pit, usually you can just go months without ever having to relight the fire. It always stays on. Still have some wood to go through. A lot of little stuff in one pallet. I'll just have to unscrew that piece of metal on it, and then I can put that on there too. Kind of started the day late today. Only got like an hour and a half of light left. So let's see what we can do. The wood pretty much all burned down, which is really nice. I wasn't thinking it would. I'm thinking today we'll have just enough time to tackle all of this shit. These batteries can go right here. These tools go in the shed. These things can just go over here. These are for like putting around plants you don't want eaten by rabbits and stuff. That's trash. That's keep, because it's kind of neat. All this metal will go behind the shed for later use. Then this stuff can go over here. Hey, that's where my welding magnet went. I was wondering about that. Oh wow. A railroad spike. A welding electrode holder. A lot of stuff's hidden in this little mound right here. You know, I kind of like this little ribbon cable. It's got character. Can't throw that away. That's looking pretty good. I'm happy with that. I like something done today. I'm gonna move this behind the shed. Or actually, you know what? It'd be best to put it inside the new wood shed. Because after all, this is my first steam engine. It was better than my very first steam engine though, because that one, it wouldn't go all the way around. It would just get stuck and go back and forth. It didn't really work too well. In the future, I would like to set up this heat exchanger as a metal melting furnace. Because I think it'd be perfect to line it with bricks. Like refractory fire brick. Maybe cut it open and stuff like that and heavily modify it, but it'd be a good frame. That's why I'm keeping a lot of scrap metal like copper and aluminum and iron. Well, I'm going to need a place to store it all. So I think I'm just going to use this. Because now that most of the leaves are burnt, I don't need it out here anymore. At least for fire. So I'll move this to behind the shed. And I think having it right here would be perfectly fine. I used this old piece of metal I was going to throw away because it actually has some life left in it. Also, I have some room for some other junk to be here. But I think I'm going to have my scrap metal there. Scrap metal for melting down, I mean. I'm wanting to someday turn this into maybe a blacksmithing / smelting area. You know, like outdoor metalworking. So that'd be nice to have a pile of meltable metal that I can pull from. Actually, I guess this will be metalworking and bicycle storage. Or bicycle working too, I don't know. Although I think I do bicycle working in the... Okay, so I've decided to call this the middle yard and this is the backyard. Because now I'm kind of opening this up. I think the name middle yard works really well for this backyard. Because it is cut into 3 sections. So we have the front yard, we have the middle yard, and the backyard behind the sheds. And this is kind of like the center of my experimentation world. So I always think of this as like the middle of my home, like the burn pit. Actually, yeah, the burn pit is like the middle of my home. Go like that, so if there's any water that goes in that pipe, it'll run down. But I oriented everything to where almost no standing water will exist to allow for mosquitoes. I've decided this little space right here where my floor ends and the fence begins would be great to hold all the miscellaneous tubes and stuff. And cables too. Actually, I might end up using this a lot sooner than all those other miscellaneous tubes, so I'll just stick them here. So yeah, as I was saying, old random tubes. I've been thinking about how to organize the rest of this stuff, and I think, to be honest, the best idea would just be to take all the stuff that's left and put it in one big pile right here. Because it's all kind of the odd, interesting stuff. Like this. I found that back when I was like 10 or 12. It's just kind of cool. But who knows, maybe I can melt it down in the future, maybe I can keep it around because it's just kind of a neat piece of plumbing history, or I could use it for something. Here's what it looks like whenever we have a 1940s or 1950s radio and you leave it out in the woods for like 30 or 40 years. It just completely eats it up. Found this a long time ago. Actually, I think I found it in the creek. It's just kind of interesting. I kind of want to keep it just as a demonstration of how electronics age, especially older ones. So I made these back in 2013 for a wind turbine, a vertical axis wind turbine, and I didn't think it was going to last very long, but my viewers thought they were going to last even less, like a day or two, because all it is a bakery rack with trash bag and tape holding it on. Turns out these have actually lasted about 3 years or longer. Yeah, amazing. Oh look, more bricks. They're everywhere. Well, it's a beautiful day today. Best day I've had in weeks. It's supposed to actually be a little bit warm, so I think this is probably the last warm day we're gonna have this year. So I'm just kind of enjoying it, you know? And I think I'm pretty much done. Yeah, I've been working on this for about like 2 months now, and I feel done. Well, at least for now. That area is beautiful and open. This area is wonderful and categorized. This area has some potential. The middle yard, I almost said front yard. The middle yard has a big open area, all taken care of. Still some stuff over there, and some stuff to deal with. I'll definitely have more random bits someday in the future, probably in a month or two, of me working on it more. But now I think it's probably a good time just to go and work on smaller projects, because this is looking pretty good. I'm so happy with this. I guess I should get this railroad spring off my roof. It's been up here ever since I got this high-speed camera I'm filming with, and I tossed these off the roof onto the concrete down there. Let's see if we can get it. They're also old as fuck, because these were found in a site where a train wreck had happened around 1920 or 1915 or so. So these most likely are pre-World War I. So I did these two very long projects of building the platform out of the brick and sand and shit, and then organizing the yard, because I felt like working on something long and not worrying about editing or uploading or anything. I just wanted to do something for a long time. And it's been like a month and a half or 2 months since I started all this stuff, so I think it's a good time to end. And since that time began and I kind of just like decided, you know what, I'm just going to focus on these two projects, I have found some really interesting stuff at flea markets, or sorry, thrift stores and antique shops, like an old 1930s bench vise and a lot of cool, interesting stuff. So now I think I can just do little videos about that. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you. Fuck.